Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai held an all-important meeting with health officials over the presence of the Omicron variant in Karnataka. R. Ashok, the Revenue Minister, after the Chief Minister's high-level meeting, in fact, talked about the 66-year-old African national, one of the two patients who tested positive for Omicron. He's in fact tested negative and left the country. But let's listen in to what R. Ashok said.
One report, positive report. He stayed in the Shangri-La hotel. I thought he done some meeting, he meet somebody. After that, he went away to Dubai. So, the two reports, one negative and one positive. So, that is the doubtful. That's why the lab must be investigated. We are given the instruction to the police commissioner, immediately start the investigation with the coordination with the health department.
Maya Sharma joins us with the very latest. Maya, two quick questions. First, on the new curbs that have been announced in the state of Karnataka, what more can you tell us?
Well, the government did have that higher today, and among the restrictions, the new restrictions they've announced, a limit of 500 for any gathering. That does seem like a large number, but there really was no restriction earlier. Also, anyone wanting to go to a mall, a cinema or a theatre, they now have to be doubly vaccinated. There's talk now of compulsory testing for frontline workers, health workers, for those over 65 and also for those with comorbidities. Government workers have to be doubly vaccinated too. These are the restrictions, also reiterating that in colleges and schools and other educational institutions, no functions, no cultural events should be held until January the 15th. The government had already asked all these colleges to postpone any such events for 2 months. So that was also the reiteration guidelines issued today after that high-level meeting this afternoon.
Right. Maya, also there were some questions that were raised after this meeting about the 66-year-old African national who tested positive. There is now some kind of a surveillance team that's been put in place to track him?
Well, what actually happened was he had a negative certificate when he flew into the country. When he was tested, that test came positive, and he was asked to isolate at a hotel in the city, which he did. He did isolate at that hotel. But then later on being tested by a private lab, he got a negative certificate. So very quietly he then left the hotel, and not just left the hotel, he went to the airport and left the country itself, flying out towards Dubai and onwards. Now, this was, of course, without specific permission. He did have a COVID negative certificate given by that private lab. But since he was, after being found to be positive for Omicron, it was a bit of a shock for the state government to find that patient number 1 in Karnataka was not actually there. The second patient, the Bengaluru-based doctor, has of course been traced, but the first one left the country.
All right, very interesting. That patient number 1 who tested positive for Omicron, a South African national, actually by the time his genome sequencing report has come saying he's positive for Omicron, he tested negative and has actually left the country. Thanks, Maya, for joining us with that update.